Alrighty, hello everybody and welcome to the stream. We are in fact back here with Warframe once more. Oh, and is that my arm gone? Oh, okay. With just the angle. I thought for a second there we had a bug when my arm was gone. Yes, but we have the primes now. And I'm just gonna check. We do have a new batch of Coda weapons as well, so hopefully maybe we can get something here. Let's see here. Fast assist with 42.7 electricity. Interesting. That creates radiation, I guess? Or does it already have radiation? No, okay, electricity is there. I'm just... Well, we could actually just add toxin, and then we would have corrosive blast, which would be interesting. Cost assist with magnetic, not terrible. 43.1 is okay. Path assist with magnetic is okay. Heat, Haruto, a little low. Okay. I'm thinking about that bass assist. And maybe this cost assist. Corrosive magnetic, huh? Alright, this one I think I'm gonna get. I really want to try this. And I will think about this one. You'll notice, well, you might be, I don't know how eagle-eyed you are, but that I actually used to have 30, and then at that point I have 20, and now I have 10. That's because I have acquired the Coda Motivore from last week's little rotation at the last second, because I realized I actually didn't want a higher number. Because why would I want a higher number if I was going to make it a melee dowdy thing, right? And at least that was the idea. So it didn't make any sense for me to want like a holdout for a 55% like of anything, because puncture wasn't on the list. It's impact and then a whole bunch of different elementals. So I just took the magnetic one was there, and it adds a little bit of oomph versus the XMI of the world, and it's just a nice little happy bonus. Speaking of nice little happy bonus, always use more Morphix. All right. So, yes, we have the primes. Let's get into that. The conversation with specifically those guys. Although, technically speaking, Caliban Prime is still cooking for another day and 22 hours. The good thing about Prime Warframes is they aren't really all that different. So everything that applies to Caliban is going to apply to Caliban Prime. I can't think of a Warframe in which that is not really the case. Maybe there's one that I can't think of where there's like a break point that, maybe like an increase of shields or something like that, or a increase of energy may radically change it. I can't think of one that's the case, but I can't say for absolute certainty that there isn't one the case. But generally speaking, the general rule is that the Prime and the normal one is really not too far apart. It's really just small buffs that the Prime gets. However, in the world of... Oh yeah, I was testing the Astral Prime. That's not as good as the Felarks, even with a Riven, if you were wondering. But anyways, we have the Vidaria and the Venato. And now I'm going to switch to the Laravel for this. And I'll explain why in a minute. And then I'm going to find my Dexterity Furus. And let's just like hop into the simulacrum for a second, because I want to talk about these two guns that came out very recently with Caliban Prime. And I basically want to just talk about how I don't want anybody that's watching this to fall into the trap. And hopefully I will be able to help someone with a dissenting voice amidst the sea of positives, I suppose, to talk about this. We'll get our 20th Heavy Gunner. Just for everything. Alright, so the Vidaria Prime and the Venato Prime. So this weapon specifically, we'll talk about the sniper first. As you may know, had a bug when it first released, in which its special effect, which is this unique trait right here, where you create a conductive area around the target when you shoot it, with a chance up to 3 lightning strikes on random nearby targets. Strike damages scale with mods. So there was a bug that if you were able to force a blast proc, usually using Lavos or some other version. I can't think of anything else. I mean, you could sort of like pseudo do it with Nova and a few other things. But if you created a situation where you could force a blast proc, or even just make it so that blast procs happened a lot more often, it would basically infinitely create a loop where the lightning would just go forever and would kill everything in the room. That was within blast proc distance, which is 5 meters. So in a real game, not that great. It's okay, and it's more likely to melt your computer than melt the Grenier or whatever you're facing. But it was unintended, and it had to do with the coding of blast and how it actually counts as a weapon attack. So it was just basically not intended whatsoever. So they fixed that. Now, a bunch of people made videos about this gun before that change, calling it the best sniper rifle in the game and a whole bunch of other superlatives. And I would say, even in that bug state, I would have to disagree massively. Even in that state where it was creating this loop of blast procs into lightning strikes forever, it wasn't the best sniper rifle. It just wasn't. It's just not that good of a sniper rifle. Now, without that cheese, it is even less so. However, there is viable ways of running it. And when I say viable, I mean there are better options. There's just better sniper rifles in this game. The Rubico Prime, things like the Sporothrix, all of these things are just better. And people that are telling you to get it because it's awesome are really just trying to get you to click on their video. That's just what I think. Because when I tested this gun out, I only put one form into it because I was so disappointed. So disappointed. I didn't even want to go for the last rank of my Vital Sense. That's how bad it was. And I tried a whole bunch of different versions just to see how it was starting to scale up. And I just did not like this gun. Now, this, of course, is all very subjective. It might be your favorite gun in the world. However, I do believe we have enough of an objective standpoint of just how it kills and how it performs to say that, yes, there is going to be pretty much in almost every case a better sniper rifle. However, there is one use case that I found where it actually seems to be at least as good as other sniper rifles. Maybe not like 1 or 2, because it's fairly close and it's fairly arguable, because this is a charge rate sniper rifle. So in this particular use case, things that are not charge rate could very quickly overcome the difference between the Vidaria Prime and itself as the combo of the sniper starts to go up, because snipers do have a combo system. So that sort of gap between the Vidaria Prime and the other choices will start to very quickly basically just become not a gap at all, because once you start killing everybody in one shot, it matters more about how quickly you do things. And of course, anything that has a magazine with no charge time is going to be able to fire, generally speaking, quicker than something with a magazine and a charge time. So the Vidaria Prime will start to be slow in comparison and not basically do as much. However, I found this build, which is a bit of an interesting one, I guess. It's your normal primary acuity blast corrosive with target acquired and primary deadhead. Basically just to make the headshot multiplier a little more spicy, so that weak point damage and weak point critical chance and all this wonderful goodness can all basically just do as much to someone's face as possible. And this works out fairly well with what was probably already considered the best sniper rifle build in the game. Arguably, you could say Cyto 9 is a better one, but he generally requires his own exalted sniper rifle, so he's kind of like, you know, he's kind of like one dimensional, and like you're gonna be Saito 9, you're gonna do that. Not to say that Saito 9 has to use his own sniper rifle. Yeah, he can use others, but in order to be better than this, I think he would have to use his own sniper rifle. So, what is this build? So it's pretty simple. If you see Clervo, you're probably gonna figure this out. We're going to use this 3 to link people together. You zoom in. Everyone linked, except for apparently this random guy in the back. They die. And that's basically the build, because it's just creating a situation where you're linking everybody together, they're all taking the same damage. The Blast Corrosive is taking over on Grenier, and you are going to very easily be able to kill pretty much everyone. The thing is about this build is you can pretty much do this with any sniper rifle that is well built. But the interesting thing is you'll notice the Vidaria Prime was a one-shot kill on the first bullet. There are times, like for example, let's say we put in this Rubico, which is, definitely top tier sniper rifle. There are times where initially you will see it doesn't take one shot, it takes 2. However, as I was sort of alluding to earlier, as you go along, it very quickly becomes not the case. Now, the interesting thing about the combination between Clervo and sniper rifles is that everyone that's linked together counts as being hit, so you go up the combo of a sniper rifle very quickly. So as you notice, I was at like 50-something combo there. So essentially, as long as you keep the combo out, which is slowly decaying, as you see, it's now 41. And it's now 40. It's going to slowly decay. If you basically keep running around with the Rubico, you're basically going to get it's the same effect as the Vidaria Prime, just the ability to shoot a hell of a lot faster. That's basically the difference. So the Rubico Prime arguably it's just still better. But the Vidaria Prime does have that interesting angle of this sort of lightning strike ability still, so everything that's linked gets hit, but if there's one guy that's not linked, sometimes it'll call down, if he's close enough to the first person you shot, it'll call down a favor from Thor, and boom, that guy will die. So it does have a small amount, but just generally speaking, if I was just to run around and use this, even with something like Roar, which is going to be added faction damage, it's okay, I hit one other person. I don't even know who I hit. Was it this guy? Oh, I hit 2 people. Okay. So that was the Blast. That was Blast doing his job. That is basically why we play for Blast. Because the lightning strike and all the wonderful goodness that happened, and it proc Blast, and these bunch of people died. Now, the sad part about it is Vidaria Prime doesn't have good enough stats chance to make that something you can rely on. So you basically are just going to be running around, and you might kill one other person, maybe 2 other people max. And it's basically just a sniper rifle that may or may not kill an extra person now and again. Yeah, we get the blast proc, but nobody was close enough. There you go. And we got a second person. We got lucky there. It's very RNG based. It's very unreliable. And, I could just run around and go tap, 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 tap with a Rubico, and I would just do things faster, because this charge time, you either have to build into it and lose some of your damage, or you have to take it as it is. And that's what it is. Now, I'm not one-tapping because I'm not using Roar right now, because I wanted to show you the mechanics. I would be one-tapping, I believe, if I was using Roar. Let me just double-check that. Yeah. So if you're wondering about that, that's why that's happening. So it still is a one-tap. But this is Warframe, right? I think we've all got to the point now where if we are making an honest and informed recommendation to a player, something that one taps one person and may kill one or two other people is not good enough anymore. It's just not. It's slow. So yes, if we're going to be using this, it is entirely going to be in a situation where you can abuse these mechanics like Valero. Exactly like this. Where you can create these bigger clearings of rooms. Because like this is we're talking about, generally speaking, steel pass kind of stuff. If you're in Star Chart, like go right ahead, but you still can find faster things. Like it's you know what I mean? It's like this gun is not good. Its contemporaries, its alternatives are as good, if not better. This is the only situation where it's actually good anymore because it took away its weird blast gimmicky being actually useful. It's just RNG based. Maybe you'll kill another guy or two. I mean, I could see Site09 getting something out of it because he can shoot through walls. But like at the end of the day, still you're gonna get more out of other guns too. The Rubico Prime shooting through walls is gonna be shooting faster than your charge rate. It's just not a good gun. I cannot recommend it as like the best sniper rifle in the game. I really cannot say that. I do not believe that. I really don't. I believe this is another sniper rifle on the pile, which you might take out, you might use for a little while because it's new, and eventually you're going to go back to the better things. So would I suggest like buying this with platinum or going roll in or making this a priority? No, I would not. This is not like one of those guns that your account needs. It's not one of those guns that's going to make you crazy better. If you happen to have Calervo and you happen to get the Vidaria Prime, great. They work well together. But that's every sniper rifle in Calervo already. So if you have another sniper rifle, keep calm and carry on. Because you're not going to need this gun. So, yes, that's my dissenting voice on the Vidaria Prime. Very specifically, I completely do not have the same experience or opinion that some of these people I'm noticing, some of these content creators are talking about how amazing it is. Now, to be fair to them, a lot of those videos were up when the unintended effect was live. But even then, still, even with that, I still didn't agree with them, honestly. So it's just like, it's just worse now. So it's even more of a obvious situation for me. So that's the Vidaria Prime. That's my opinion on it. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll probably be wrong again. But from the information I have, from what I've watched, from what I've done, from what I've tested, it's okay. It's viable. It's very viable. You can clear steel path missions with this, especially if you use Galero with it. But it's not your best option in pretty much any scenario. So yeah, to me, it's MR fodder. Maybe an interesting gimmick rifle to use every once in a while. That's basically it. The Venado Prime. Now this one's a little bit different. The Venado Prime has a lot of different ways of using it. The most obvious one is one that I'm only going to touch on just for a little bit because this is strong, but it's really obvious. So I'm not going to talk about it too much. And that is melee influence, because Tau, melee influence, you put these things together and you're going to get nice big status spreads and it's going to be crazy. But everybody knows about melee influence at this point. It is the most used, the most recommended. Almost every single melee weapon in the game can be converted into a melee influence weapon. Some are better than others. And this is a very good melee influence weapon because of the trait. It's still not the best melee influence weapon. I would very much argue that things like the Dual Iker and the Okina Prime, especially on people like, say, Lavos or Volt, are going to be just better. But it's still very viable if you want a cool-looking scythe that has a nice little, gimmick that does help you spread statuses with melee influence. This is actually a fairly good option. And it's going to be like every other melee influence build you've ever seen. So we're not going to talk too much about that. That's basically all I'm going to say about it is, yes, melee influence is viable, more than viable. If not, it might even be arguably the best way to run this melee. as it is for so many other melees. It's kind of sad. It is getting kind of sad. I like melee influence, but at this point, it's getting kind of sad that like it's just so good for everything. So I decided instead to try and do something weird with the Venado Prime and see if I could create a niche for it that isn't melee influence or status spreading or anything like that. I mean, it's still status spreading, but in a different way. So I sort of created these two weird things. This is sort of like the first version, and then this is like the second version. And basically, these are the products of me noticing some small oddities with the Venado Prime. Um, them being that the Venado Prime slam radius is 9 meters. The normal Venado's slam radius is 8 meters, which is, you know, in line with a few of the other non-hammers. But 9 meters, which is what this has, is actually very hammery in that it's pretty much the same as most hammers. Obviously, if we're talking about the Magistar, which has the Incarnate that can make the slam radius go much higher, then it's going to be a little bit different. But if we're talking about hammer to hammer, and we're not talking about Incarnates, the Venado Prime is a scythe that is very similar to the hammers of this game. So, here's the question that I have posed. Can you do a slam build with this scythe? And will it be good? And the answer is yes. It can be good, and it's weird. Because this thing has a very high base critical chance. It has a very high base status chance. And it is mainly puncture. So if you put all of those things together, you can create a interesting sauce where you can use Melee Dowdy. And in this build, Melee Dowdy is only giving us a certain amount of critical damage, but we are using it with Kalervo. So for this, I'm just going to switch over to the Salam Kalervo. The reason why I'm going to do this is I feel like, in general, you're going to use this. Oh, I guess I should switch over from the Coda Motive War. Where are you? Auto. You're probably going to use this specific way I'm doing it in a very dedicated melee-centric build. So yes, these are my dexterity holders. They exist to make melee weapons better. I don't barely ever use them. This is only here for lifesteal, and this is only here for damage attenuated enemies. Oh, I'm on the wrong config. I wonder how long I've been on the wrong config. Oh gosh. All right, well that just saved me some time. And some extra stuff. I always hate that you can't like lock a config, or that it doesn't show you which config you're on in a loadout, because I do that to myself all the time. But anyways, we're on the right config now, so it's only going to be better than what I did when I tested it. So that's good for me. Yeah, so Kalervo, of course, is probably the best melee frame. It's really good at what it does. It just adds a crap ton of critical chance to every single melee you have, and I also have Roar on it, so it's going to add faction damage, so you don't have to mod for it, all the wonderful goodness and whatnot. So this guy is going to get crazy amount from Melee Dowdy, but he's still going to get a pretty damn good amount from Melee Dowdy. This one is not what we're going to get. We're going to get this one, and we're not going to get 23.1 times critical damage. That's just not what it's going to be. I don't even know why it says that right now. But it's not going to be that. It's actually kind of interesting. What, do I have some sort of... Why does it say 23 times? It just shouldn't be that high. Okay. That was... I don't know what that was. That was some UI bug. Anyways, yeah, we're going to be adding a little bit more to that. So we're going to get up to like 14 times-ish. With melee Dowdy. So it's not like crazy with this. With the Dowdy Slam one, you're going to get a lot more out of Dowdy, but you're going to get a lot less of the mechanic that I'm going to talk about. So they're like two versions of the same thing, and they basically work very similarly, but I actually prefer this one because of the consistency of the mechanic. And so we're going to talk about that mechanic right now. Most heavy slams in this game, in fact, many of them with the hammers as well, they do blast damage. If you look at your weapons, you'll see that, you know, you might have a whole bunch of like mix of random, You'll have impact, puncture, slash, and blast and whatnot. But if you go into the wikis, if you go behind the scenes, you'll find out that heavy attack damage, specifically the slam attacks, are going to be blast. It's just pure blast. And so when you do a heavy attack, it is going to consider the modded elements and add them to blast. So when you go around and let's say I'm using my Magistar and I have melee exposure, I'm going to be adding corrosive damage, and it's going to be calculated based off of the base blast damage. So very often, if you're going to proc anything with a Magistar, I'm probably going to be procking corrosive because of the way status weighting works. Or if I'm running around and I'm using, nourish and melee exposure, I'm going to probably be seeing a lot more of viral and corrosive versus blast. In this specific situation here, it allows us to do something very odd, which is to actually preserve the fact that we are going to be using blast damage basically entirely, while also utilizing and abusing the fact that the base weapon is mainly puncture, so we can increase the critical damage multiplier of the weapon by a decent, modest amount that is actually quite effective, and will actually create another multiplier on the status damage of the blast damage in a weird way that I can't quite explain. It has something to do with galvanized elementalist and double dipping and a few other things, I think. But basically, at the end of the day, this is one of the few weapons I've come across where you can create a slam build where you are basically blast procking about 80% of the time. And that's because of our crazy increases the status chance, which you're going to get a lot more as we go along. We, of course, are a slam build. So I'm using galvanized reflex is pretty much the only combo we're going to get. So we basically hang out in this version at around 5 times combo. This version, you actually hang around at 6 times combo, but the slams are a lot less blasty because we don't get to a certain breakpoint on the status, which is sad. But like this does more damage. It just doesn't do as much blast. So that's the sad part. And so basically what this has done is create a situation where you can hit a certain radius, which is your 9-meter radius, and go 5 meters beyond that radius, assuming there is a person on the edge of that radius because of the blast procs. And so you could sort of like create like a more Magistar-like area of effect on slams. And of course, with the new way that slams work, the higher you go, the bigger your radius. So if you're in like certain tiles where you can jump higher up and come further down, you're going to get a further increase onto that, which can then also be extended by 5 meters. So the reach of the Venato Prime in this Super Blast setup with Melee Dowdy is that you can basically kill whatever's in your radius in usually one shot after you've got your reflex stacked, and then if there's anybody within 5 meters of those people, they will then be killed by a really nice blast proc. So it's interesting and been quite interestingly effective in this particular way of running it. So you see that we're very much giving up certain damage increases to put in things like melee prowess and weeping wounds to get our melee dowdy to a period where we're actually getting quite a nice multiplier on that. Now, that's worth for us because when we do get it stacked up to its height, with Kalervo giving us a crap ton of crit, we're going to be stacking that multiplier quite a few times. And so the lower base damage is actually okay, because we are using such a much larger multiplier than we normally would have with a normal weapon. And so it actually does get us to the point where we have very respectable damage that is going to be one-shotting Steel Path a decent way up the ladder. You're not going to go to level cap with this. It's just not. It's going to stop killing at a certain point, and that is a fact. But if you're running around between, you know, level 105 steel path to 240 steel path. This should be very consistent. And so let me show you exactly how this works. Now we're gonna have to get our reflex stacks before we can really talk about this too much. So we're just gonna do this first group. And we're gonna have to kill them. See, there's a nice blast proc. There we go, nice blast procs. All right, perfect. So now we have our stacks. So let's do that again. And you'll notice if we are up at the front row right here, we actually kill quite a few rows back. See how far that was from where I actually slammed? That actually goes pretty freaking far. And that's because it's pretty much guaranteeing a blast proc that is... Oh, let me kill everybody. That is cascading through a group of enemies. So the more enemies around you, the better, because it's more likely you're going to get the blast proc that we require. And if we were to be a little bit closer... Now that was interesting. If we were a little bit closer and it didn't do weird things, like for example, let's say we slam here. Oh shit! I had my raffle dance off. Tactical difficulties. All right. That blast proc killed everybody. That was actually a little bit deeper into the formation of enemies than I wanted to show. But as you can see, those white numbers on your screen, those are all the blast proc numbers. So they actually are doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. So let's try and get it a little bit closer to the front. See? It kills everybody. All the way back here. And I hit right here. You can still see where I hit. So all the way to the back of this room. All the way to the front. So it actually extends the distance of your hammer quite a bit, because the blast procs are like very good. They're killing, like, I've seen them as high as 100 million damage, more damage than you're going to do with the actual hammer itself. So the blast is actually really helping quite a lot. So let's do this without height. That way we can get that slam radius X out of the way. And it goes about this far without the height, which is still pretty damn good. And sometimes you can get it so that it's actually a lot more than that. And there we go. See, same place, more blast procs, and then only these two guys survived somehow. Now the problem with this is I did a lot of testing in a live environment as well as a simulacrum. And I found that for some reason, outside of the simulacrum, it does have times, and I can't explain why, where it basically forgets that it has blast procs. You'll just get a period of time, and it seems to be at random, where your status chance is ignored, and it just will do normal damage. And I can't explain why. Because we do seem to be very, very high status-wise. And we only have blast damage. So there should be blast procs on pretty much everything. I mean, if you show here, if you pay attention, right? One of those was not a blast proc right there. And then 70% of those were blast procs. So most of the time, you're going to get a blast proc, and all you need is one, because it's going to do its little 5-meter explosion, and you're going to be fine. And you're going to do all this damage, and you're going to be fine. But every once in a while, and I can't explain why, it's like there's like a minute or two in a mission, at every single mission I did, where it just goes, nah, I don't feel like doing blast procs anymore. And your heavy slams are just going to be normal damage. And then it just sort of doesn't do this at all. So there is some sort of weird thing. And how to tell whether or not it's actually doing anything for you is if you see those white numbers. We are Kalervo, so literally every single time we deal damage with this particular blade, it should be a red crit. So if you ever see a white number, that's the blast proc. That's how much damage it's doing. So when we go in here, boom, that 9 million at the bottom was the only time the blast did something to somebody that we didn't do ourselves. If we go in this time, we go a little bit further back. Okay, it's killed them and it all did 20 damage. That was a very confusing one. There's something going on with this, and I've tested it a few times and it's been very weird, but it is actually pretty good at what it does. Damn, that was very interesting. I think that's because we did that from behind. And so I actually, in an all honest thing, I like the fact that this is weird and we can do this and it's strange and it's different because I've been playing Warframe for a long time and I like weird and strange things. But there's something that goes on with this that makes it not consistent enough that if I was to talk about the Vanilla Prime and I was going to seriously talk about whether or not you should get this weapon, I would still base it off of whether or not melee influence is good for this. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk about it too much as my death cubes go off and try and do their best. It is still better as a melee influence thing. The slam thing is gimmicky, it's weird, it's interesting. You can get some rather interesting explosions where you get really long range, especially the higher you go up. You know, you go something like crazy like this, you're going to get everybody. I see those blast procs just like all over the place. 5 million damage there. But it's very weird and inconsistent. There's definitely something strange, at least I believe, in the code of the blast procs of heavy slams. It seems to turn itself off sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't really deal damage. Sometimes it just misses a guy. I noticed that a couple times in missions where it just there's like a dude just standing there and he's totally within 5 meters of a guy that just took a blast proc and it's like nothing happens. Like not at all. Like nothing. And he's not like an Eximus or anything like that. Just like a normal dude. So there's definitely some interesting things going on. But there you go. So that was 2 rows of 7 millions right there. So the interesting thing about it is that you can actually very often extend the range of your slam just with like the little hop slams. There's see the 2 red numbers, so we hit the front 2 guys, and then this entire back row got killed by blast procs. You can extend the range so that you can kind of get almost close to the pre-nerf slam radius with this sort of weird force blast. It's not force blast procking, it's just blast procking. It's very interesting that we can do this with Calervo and actually do crap tons of damage, because the X factor of this is that in order to get all of these slams to at least semi-consistently blast proc is we have to really feed into status, and that only works because we are able to create a massive amount of damage with the fact that we are Calervo with Arcane Fury and 2 dexterity arcanes. Sorry. And we have Melee Dowdy, which is creating a rather larger critical damage multiplier, which is decaying before our eyes. And we're able to put in these mods like Melee Prowess and Weeping Wounds and Galvanized Elementalist and still do enough damage that we're going to actually kill Steel Path enemies. It's kind of like a perfect storm to put like a bunch of jank together and actually get something that works. The first version that I put together here goes further more into the Dowdy section and actually uses Jugulus Barbs to increase the percentage. So we sit at 52.4 here, and over here we're 22.5 with the actual Dowdy, but we're actually increasing our blast damage so that our actual blasts hit harder. So we don't get as much from Dowdy over here, and also our status chance is higher so that we actually force blast a little bit more. So this it's much more emphasis on the blast and the super blast mechanic, whereas this one is more on the increasing the damage with the slam. And if we do this version, let me get some enemies. We will also probably have to restack our reflex. Yep. It's actually a really interesting scenario, which makes me further think that there's something wrong with the simulacrum in this particular situation. As we know, there are simulacrum bugs. They have been identified 1,000 times, so we know that this is a possibility. But the simulacrum creates a situation here where it seems like this whole mechanic that I'm kind of walking around here is a little bit more consistent and like perhaps even more performative, because we're getting larger numbers and whatnot, and it looks like it's pretty much doing the blast spread every time. The truth is, if you go into a mission with this version, it's not going to be as consistent as it is in this room. And the reason is for some reason, in a normal, actual live mission, this build only blast procs about 50% of the time, even though I have a crap ton of status chance, and blast should basically be the only thing that exists on the heavy slam. Because every mod I have here is just increasing everything about the whole weapon except for puncture. And as you know, if you have an IPS mod on a attack that has no IPS, this doesn't add it. It's only a percentile of things that already exist. If you put an impact mod on a gun or a weapon that does not have impact damage, it will not add impact damage. That's how it works for IPS. It only adds for elementals, right? So this has no bearing whatsoever on the damage that we get from the slam. It only increases the critical damage multiplier we're getting from Melee Dowdy that is helping the slam, because the critical damage multiplier is agnostic of which attack you're using. So, if we have a very high status chance, and we only have blast, we should be blast damaging and blast proccing a fair amount, because we're killing people, so it should be triggering. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then when we stack up our reflex, you'll notice that when we get to our 6 times multiplier, we're going to be doing it very, very consistently in this room. It's pretty much every single time. Oh, I didn't hit those again. I actually killed a row I wasn't expecting to kill. That was really nice. Must have put it the exact circle to kill most of them. As you'll see, we blast proc pretty much every single time. Not every time, but if you're hitting like 7 or 8 people, you're going to get a blast proc. You're just going to, right? In this room. Now, if you do it in a mission, you could hit like 10 people and not get a single blast proc. It's super weird. There's something wrong either with this room or missions. So this is kind of exposing some sort of weird interaction that's not supposed to be happening, because 100% with the numbers I have, I should be blast proccing at least one time if I'm hitting more than 3 people. And I do in this room, but I don't in real missions. It's a lot less consistent. So this is really interesting, and it's really janky, and it's really fun, and I really enjoy it, but there's something up with it. And so, despite the fact that I love the fact that it exists and I'm going to show it to you, and I have shown it to you, it is not something that you should put your hat on. It's not something that you should totally be using as like your number one, like, oh, this weapon's going to kick every ass every time. Even though we do get up to a 21.6 times damage multiplier with Kalervo, which is pretty nice for a damage build that, it has a slam attack that does this much damage. That's pretty freaking cool. I mean, I gotta admit, I'm enjoying it. It's there's something wrong with it. There's a bug involved somewhere. I don't know anything about coding, so I don't know. DE, if you see this, I would suggest taking a look, because there's something weird going on. And has something to do with blast procs on the heavy slams just not being triggered when they should. I don't know. Works in this room. It works outside of the room, just not as well. This works outside the room a little bit better, though, which is why I sort of developed this. I was sort of basically just reacting to the the information in front of me and trying to make it a little bit better. It does work a little bit better. It doesn't work all the time. And the more you can use the jump up into the air before you slam, the more consistent it becomes. So yes, there's the melee influence, but if you want to have fun and you want to do something a little bit differently and you have the Venato Prime, I'd suggest doing something like this because it's kind of wacky and it's a little interesting, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time testing it. I enjoyed my time playing it. It's wacky, it's different, it's fun. Try it. To talk about the Venato Prime as a whole, is it worth getting? I would say just beyond an obvious MR fodder, you want to get everything eventually perspective. There is nothing that the Venato Prime does, even with its Tau status, that makes it like super amazing and the new, meta defining weapon or even the better choice in most scenarios. It is very good at being a melee influence weapon, but there are many, many good influence weapons. And as I said, I could argue the case for several melee weapons that are just better at being melee influence spreaders. The thing that really kicks its ass is that when you hit somebody with the weapon, melee influence does not spread Tau. I tested that. It doesn't spread Tau. Tau doesn't spread. If it did, then the Venato Prime would probably take its spot as the best melee influence weapon in the game. It does not. Does its unique trait help it? Yes, because when you're hitting the one person and you're stacking Tau on it, when you eventually kill that person, it's going to have a hell of a lot more statuses to spread with melee influence, so that's cool. However, it does not actually spread. So the Tau, so you can't really do it that way. But the Tau does help. It's just doesn't help as much as you would hope it would, which is sad. And also, I mean, like, if you're going to be using this, I mean, other than using like your normal electric, just modding for electric strategy, you're probably going to be using this on the fairly well established melee influence capable Warframes, like Lavos or Volt. That just make it easier. They just make it easier, especially Lavos, who just guarantees electric status on everything. All you gotta do is get valence formation, and again, like, you can get that same scenario with so many different ones. So if they make that change, if they do, then this will become really, really freaking good. I don't know if they're going to make that change or they're going to do something like that in the future. If they do, the Venato Prime will skyrocket up to some of the best melee weapon in the game. So on that particular idea, I would suggest getting the Venato Prime because I think it is kind of likely in the future that they're going to make it so that Tau does spread like a normal status effect, because there's no reason why it shouldn't. It's a status effect. It should spread. And I think eventually DE is going to come around to that thinking. Now, that's not guaranteed, but that's the way I'm looking at it. And I think that the Venato Prime at its core is right now a good melee. It may not be the best, but it's up there in a niche that is sadly no longer a niche, and that is the melee influence. It is capable of doing melee dowdy builds. Perhaps not as good as some other things like the Vacor Sidon. So it's still not number one there, but it does have the ability to be a melee dowdy slammer, which is not as good as some other melee dowdy slammers, like for example the Coda Motivar, which I've been testing recently and decided is pretty freaking hardcore. I really enjoy it. It does have slam radius problems, which the Venato Prime has less of most of the time, but it's good enough to get, I think, and to use, and I think it's more than viable. And it has multiple playstyles, and it could get better if they decide to make one singular change. And so for that reason, I would say I would recommend getting the Venato Prime. I think it is worth it. I think it's good enough as it is, and it could get better, and it's interesting and versatile. That's what I would say. That's my final analysis. Again, subjective, very opinion based, based off of testing. I could be wrong, and it is what it is. But of the two that came out with Caliban Prime, I would say the Venado Prime is by far the more interesting and the more capable of hanging with its contemporaries and compatriots than the Vidaria Prime is. I think the Vidaria Prime came out with a bug that made it interesting, but it's still behind the eight ball. It's still not as good as normal snipers. And let's be honest, normal snipers are pretty much already very dead. Like they're good, but they're not good enough at doing what we need in Warframe these days, which is to keep up with the concept of AoE. Which is sad. I mean, I would say there's a very good argument that's saying something like the Chlorophyll Calervo build that I'm in love with is not as good as it needs to be, because you stop yourself in place and you fire this AoE projectile down a hallway, but there's going to be builds that are AoEing the entire freaking room while you do that. So you're always going to be behind that eight ball whenever you're creating like a line or a single target situation. And the Chlorophyll is actually leagues above the Vidaria. So if the Chlorophyll is already a step behind certain builds, right? And the Vidaria Prime is arguably multiple steps behind the Chlorophyll, then the Vidaria Prime is just going to have problems. It's going to have problems with its charge rate and its gimmick and its lack of true AoE of any description, really, other than if the guy's close, you get another guy. It's like, congratulations, you get your buy one, get one special. It's the buy one, get one special sniper rifle. That's what it is. So, I don't know. It just doesn't convince me. And that, of course, is mainly, I suppose, talking in a group environment, because if you're playing by yourself, you're going to kill everybody anyways, so you don't have to worry about your speed, unless you're in a survival, in which case you do care about speed. Anything that actually cares about your KPM, the higher your KPM, the better. So it's just not going to be good for you there. You're going to have a low KPM with that weapon unless you use Calervo. So, I mean, I think that's the whole matter right there. It just is not good enough. And the Venado Prime is good enough, but not amazing. They're not breaking the game. They're not the best ever. They're not, holy crap, you better drop everything you're doing and farm this out right now. Neither of them are. But they're interesting. They bring a new flavor that's still not going to, make you forget about chocolate or Rocky Road or maple walnut. And that's the new primes. In a nutshell. However, let's talk about this old guy. Now, as you probably figured out by now, I like slam builds. I like non-slam builds too, but I played them for years. So I guess I'm just in my slam phase. It's not a phase, Mom. Yeah, it's totally a phase, I guess. I don't know. We'll find out. They nerfed them and I still love them, so it doesn't seem to matter. But this guy is like the cousin to the Venado Prime build, except instead of being like, oh man, I want to be able to hit that guy that's like 5 meters away, you just want to completely obliterate the guy that you can hit. This is an unnecessary build. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to call this unnecessary. Everything about this is unnecessary. I didn't need to go this hard. I didn't need this much. I don't need any of these things. I don't need this weapon. I could just use the Magistar and go around and kill everything about half as hard and about twice as many because I'll have a higher slam radius. But this thing is a melee dowdy beast that will destroy the crap out of everything you touch, and it is fun. It's fun. It's huge numbers, and that is its quality in this particular build. And it's just a melee dowdy build. That's all it is. So let me just go to Draco, and we're just gonna have fun. Just gonna watch this thing do its thing.
The canvas of war.
Let's just see what happens, shall we?
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending.
All right, let's get our reflex stacks. There's one. All right, we got some stacks now. All right. Oh, we still have the Phantom heavy attacks. Not the greatest radius when you actually are on top of a box or a table. Yeah, it just kills the shit out of everything. Get my roar back. Yep. I like it. It gets the job done. I wish it was a Magister because, as you can see, you really have to get some height to get the room. But it's a spinning tire of death that I've got some pretty crazy numbers out of. It's very consistently doing a lot of damage.
To the area. Activating it will buy
And if I were to
more
take this
time.
against certain other factions, it would do even more damage. I've gotten hundreds of millions on certain missions, as one is wont to do. And similar, this is doing a very similar strategy to other melee dowdy builds. We are not focusing on base damage as much. We are focusing on shifting. I could give you that shit. We are shifting the status chance weighting to make it so that melee dowdy is giving us an absurd multiplier so that Kalervo can make damage go to the moon. It's not the greatest flame radius still though. You see the difference now between... Ooh, okay, I almost went out of the map there. Between the blast version of the Venato Prime and this already. See how much further we were doing with the Venato Prime's blast proc? We were just hopping around and killing people like this guy would have been dead. Most of the time, as we said, it was a little janky in missions. But that sort of like creates the value of the jankness of the Venato Prime with a melee dowdy slam build. This thing goes in a more of a different direction. Instead of being like, I want to reach more, it's nothing will survive. Literally nothing. Nothing's going to survive this unless it has crazy amounts of damage attenuation like a Dedicant. Then maybe you're going to need to pull out your Tenoro and be like, blah, 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 blah. You'll have to do that. Where's Angst? Where are you? I don't see you. Oh, you're right here. Hi. It's simple, big numbers. 60 million. Nice. It's a nice I think addition to the hammer family. Is it the best hammer around? No. It isn't. You will do pretty similar, I'd say a little bit less damage maybe with the Magistar. But you will be able to hit more. You will do a lot less damage with the Sampodes, but you'll be able to hit way more. Because the Sampodes is a very nice mechanic. But the thing is this is not using like crazy increases to your base damage, right? This is not using melee exposure to get 240% corrosive damage. You know, this is not going, okay, I'm probably going to face Grenier, so I'm going to put a shit ton of anti-Grenier damage here. This is brute forcing armor. This is brute forcing everything about everything around it. It is going to kill every faction. It doesn't care what you are. It's just going to crit damage the crap out of you and make you leave. So it has a certain quality that I appreciate that the other slam builds in this game don't quite touch, other than perhaps the Venato Prime, which we were just talking. Because it doesn't have to do all those stacking things to get that high. It doesn't have to worry about elementals. It doesn't have to worry about blast procs. It doesn't have to worry about basically any interaction between damage and a health bar. I mean, even like the minus to puncture that you might get from some particular type of faction, which I don't actually offhand right now. I can't even think if there is a faction that gets increases to, you know, it might be the Grenier for all I know. Maybe I should check that. It's the 100% Bruce. Oh, nice 120 mil. It's the 100% brute force option. This thing will never fail. It doesn't care what it faces. It eats everything. And only damage attenuated enemies are going to be able to shrug this off. And I'm actually going to go to extraction right now because there's really no other reason for us to be here. We've done our job. And I'm actually going to look. I'm going to look. All right, what is Puncture's multipliers? Does it have any? Let's find out. Because I can't think of them offhand. And I'm going to be really interested to see. Because I would be surprised if it was 0.5 times damage to Grenier or something like that. Because it just wouldn't matter. It just doesn't. It really doesn't. So it has a certain quality to it that I appreciate. That makes it interesting as a use case. I admit it's still probably not as good as using the Magistar Incarnate or the Sampodes. But it is different enough that it makes me interested. 1.5 damage to Corpus and 1.5 damage to Orkin. So Grenier, it's not 0.5 times, but it doesn't get anything extra from it. So that's nice. That's really nice. Also, I mean, technically speaking, it does have a puncture effect, but they're not going to survive the first hit anyways, so the status effect is completely besides the point. They're going to die in the first hit, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it is very fun. It is exactly what it is on the tin. It is a brute force murder weapon with slams, and I like it. It's new to me, and I like it. It has a cool aesthetic as well, and this is the way I would use it. I think because of its unique trait, there are many ways of using it. For example, if you really want to make it like super high attack speed, you can go the impact route. I wouldn't unless you're using this against Corpus primarily. Oh, wait, did they remove the anti-shield of impact? I guess it did. Okay, well, all right. Versus Grineer, maybe the impact way is going the way to go. Look at that. 1.5 damage sold to Grineers. So you could do it that way if you wanted to specifically do that with attack speed. Although you don't really need too much attack speed with a slam build, so this would be a non-slam build situation. Puncture gives me extra range, which I don't really need because I don't think that applies to slam damage radius. So we're still getting the normal. And then of course, if you want to do the old school slash status way of doing it, you can. I don't think I would suggest that though because slash lost a lot of capability after they reworked damage in Jade Shadows. And I'm still remembering things that are used to exist that don't. And this is the curse of having played this game through so many patches. You know, things like I thought Impact still had extra effects on shields. Apparently, it does not. It doesn't say that anywhere here. Used to. It used to. Magnetic still fucks with shields, right? Yeah, okay. You start questioning yourself, man. It's like, am I in 2000 and freaking 20 still, or what year am I in? Practically a Warframe grandpa at this point. Cart me away. All right. So that's basically what I've tested and done and had fun with and messed around with in the interim. I also did test around with the Astilla Prime with a specific little ribbon. But basically, it's just a worse Fel Arcs. The only thing about this that's better than the Fel Arcs on like a Gauss Prime that's specifically looking for fire rate and reload speed is that you have a higher magazine. So primary crux shines a little bit more. That's it, basically. You get more shots, but you do way less damage with your shots, so you're basically just wasting your own time. So 6 of one, half dozen the other. If you are interested in the Astilla Prime, I would suggest pairing it with either Gauss or Gara, because they do seem to be very good with those two. And you get extra ammo when when you're wielded by Gara, so that's cool. But if you use primary crux, you probably don't run into the ammo issue as much. So that being said, it's okay. We're using minus IPS threat here, which isn't as strong as it used to be, but it's still pretty good. And the one thing I will say is the Astral Prime is probably better in a group situation than the Fel Arcs, because I find that the issue with Fel Arcs Gauss is even though you have a shit ton of reload speed in your Fel Arcs, you're still spending about a third of your time reloading. That's just true. And that only gets worse in groups, because you can't use the Fel Arcs, ability to hit and get more primary crux as easily. It sort of has the problem of if you are in a group with a person that can nuke the room, you're gonna have trouble stacking things, and it's gonna be not quite that fun. You're still gonna do a lot of damage, but you're probably gonna be in a worse state as far as your personal performance and fun than if you had just gone by yourself. The Astral Prime, it actually kind of sidesteps that a bit because it's going to be throwing out lead at a more constant rate, so you're going to have a lot more fun and probably have very similar performance, honestly, but you're going to have more fun, so there is that to be said. That would be, of course, a Zata's Whisper-based Gauss. And yeah, it's pretty fun. But I can't particularly say that it's better. It's just different. I would say the only consideration on which you would use is solo versus group. Yeah, that's what I would say. And we do have a new weapon, though. Yeah, we got a new weapon. Dakota Bass Assist. Ooh, look at this thing. It's literally got I guess, is it bass assist? Because it's got a bass speaker in it, just like hanging out. So let's take a look at this thing. What do we got here? All right, so this is a shotgun. And I don't have a catalyst, but that's okay. I sold a ribbon. So just so you guys know, the next time they're releasing Carnons, the Lanka is probably going to get a Lanka in Carnon because I just sold my Lanka Riven, and that's how the gods of Warframe work. Whenever I sell a Riven, that's good, and is for a weapon that I used to use, but I haven't used in a long time. The Incarnate adapter for that weapon comes out about 3 months later. So you're welcome for all the Lanka lovers out there. I'm sure in about 3 months' time, the next Incarnate wave is going to drop, and the Lanka will get one. Because that's my luck. That's how it usually goes. So, here we go. We're going to get that too. All right. All right, let's look at this thing. Unique trait. Alternate fire swarms enemies with mites, inflicting them with impact and magnetic status effects. If the target enemy is open to mercy kills, perform a ranged finisher instead. Interesting. Perform a mercy kill to gain plus 100% damage and plus 100% multi-shot. All right, so the first thing that tells me is we can't do a acuity build because we're a shotgun and there's no shotgun acuity. So we're not going to be able to do an acuity build. And this has a multi-shot trait, so we wouldn't want to do it anyways. So if you come out with shotgun acuity, still not going on this. Also, why don't they have shotgun acuity? They should add that. All right, moving on. Crit chance. Pretty bad. It's never gonna help. This does have a damage per projectile. Stats per projectile is freaking massive. Okay. That's very interesting. Is that because there's only one projectile? Where's the multi-shot here? Okay, I'm gonna put a multi-shot mod on. Where's my multi-shot mod? Oh, there's the multi-shot. Okay, so yeah, it only fired one. Okay, that explains a lot. All right. So there's essentially a slug shotgun then, if it only has one. So that's why plus 100% multi-shot exists, because honestly, that's not a huge buff, because it's not like it's giving you like 9 extra pellets. So this isn't a status hose type shotgun. It's more of a make the big status count type. So it has blast, and that's okay. Really nice critical damage multiplier for such a crappy critical chance. What do we want to run here? Merciless is probably the best of the ones we have. We could put on Blight for extra multi-shot, but I don't think we're going to get too much out of the other half of this arcane because we don't have that good of a critical chance. Unless there's something about the alternate fire. Yes. Yeah, so this is the radial attack of this. So is the base fire... Now I'm starting to question. The base fire is a 2.1 slug shotgun. And the alternate fire is a 2.1 slug. Might be literally. Swarm. Swarm enemy with mites. Okay, so the alternate version of slug. The creature slug. I actually had to see this in action, don't I? Alright, let's take a look at this thing. Get this up close, figure out this mechanic. Ba, 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 ba. All right. Here we are in Holvania once again. All right, what do you do? Oh, cool. Interesting. Oh, it's like the Arca Plasmor, except instead of being a rectangle, it's like a miasma. So I shoot like 2 miasmas, okay, and the alternate fire. Oh, heat-seeking mite creatures. Oh, how many did I fire out there? You got... Oh, What the heck? It doesn't care where you're aiming. It just goes. Okay. All right, well, now I gotta figure out. That was like 6. Interesting. Oh. Alternate fire does a teleport to the mercy kill. That's how, when it says ranged finisher, that's what it means. Okay. That'll be really nice for those stupid bounties that say you have to do 8 finishers. Making me play my melee when I don't want to. How dare you? Oh, that is the coolest reload animation. Okay. So now I sort of understand what's going on, except the multi-shot numbers don't really vibe, so... I'm assuming the plus 100%... No, it says on a mercy kill. Okay, so... 2.1. We've seen to fire 6, so I'm guessing... the multi-shot is timed by 3 when you use the alternate fire, which is not said here anywhere. Interesting. Okay. All right, so we got that going for us. They also seem to go on the head. Do they proc primary deadhead? That would probably be hard to figure out, eh? Because it's on like the headshot kill. Probably not going to kill with that. Like ever. Kind of weird. Oh, maybe. Oh, fuck. Yeah, if you get to the point where they actually would be killed, they're probably... How the fuck did we end up over here? Maybe if I do it like this. Alright, let's put some mods on this. Yeah, we have Arcane Fury on it. I was just making sure that wasn't deadhead symbol. Okay, so let's put a little bit of damage on here then. Just to see. Obviously, we're going to put on some Toxic Barrage to make Corrosive happen. I think will be good for us. It also increases our status chance. Is there anything else we would want? Fire rate might be useful. Status chance I think is pretty obvious. Now we're Corrosive Magnetic Blast Radiation. That's certainly a lot of things. We already have Gunco. Maybe we had... Oh, that changes that. Yes, yes. Is that ever going to change? I honestly forget why these even do these things, but it looks like it doesn't give a shit. That just goes into that. Oh, yeah, I see what's happening. Okay. It's one of those. It's always going to combine these two together. Why are you going to be like that? Okay, so then we basically can't do anything other than... I mean, electric will be nice, I guess. Well, no, but it's just going to hop into that. Here we're going to get... Well, we already have, so it doesn't actually matter. So we could do that. If we so decided, if we want more status chance, we could shock it. Won't change anything, and we'll get over 114% status per projectile, which is kind of nutty. How does that work right now? I'm gonna keep Primary Deadhead because I still kind of want to see how we do with this. Let's roar and see. I don't think this is ever gonna proc, but it'd be interesting to see if it does. Because it looks like the mites are latching onto their faces, so it should be considered a headshot. I ran out of ammunition. Look. I just want to see it once. Just show me it's possible. No, doesn't look like it's possible. Okay. Either it's not possible or it's so unlikely it might as well be impossible. In that case, I mean, we do have a low ammo cap. It's only weak point hit. How easy is it to hit the weak point with this thing? You would assume not so hard. There's one. Oh yeah, it's easy to do that. Just aim in the general direction of the head. Holy fuck. Armor Crux is really easy. What the fuck? So just like hit your creatures on them. Just fire away. This is sick. This gun is amazing. Ooh, nice explosion. That's that blast working. Alright. I dig it. This is with roar involved. Oh, yeah. Then I can eat you. Ah, blood. You too. Does that trigger Parazon mods? I don't see them up here, but I don't know whether or not that... I can't remember if they even show up in the tray. They probably do. Because it is a mercy kill, right? So that's all that matters. Okay, interesting. Alright, so what are these last two mods then? Because I think we're going to form on this. Let's plan this out. More damage, maybe? We can put on something like Chilling Grasp and Charged Shell. It's going to be a few forma for sure. What's the reload speed? 2.5 seconds. That is a little long. We could perhaps get some sort of reload speed ability. Or we already have radiation. We wanted to get that magazine capacity and make it 6 of one, half dozen of the other. We already have prime point blank, so we probably don't need anything else on the added damage scale. And ammo efficiency actually probably helps a lot anyways, so reload speed. Maybe we do want extra mag capacity, but radiation is so bad now. I mean, how often are we going to bring this to the murmur? Revive speed. Oh yeah, I did get this off of the Tenacon barrow. Maybe the time to think about starting to max this bad boy. I can only get to there. 120. Is that more than the normal one? It is. Okay, well that's probably useful then. We don't have... What is the crit? Blunderbuss. Oh, so let's just take a look at this for a second. 34.2. A third of the time it'll crit. I don't know. I don't think that's worth it. It's probably better just to do base damage increases. Chilling reload could be a definite... I already have one of these. What am I doing? Chilling reload, where are you? Oh, that adds cold by itself. Oh, because these are actually adding to it. That means we could put on heat then. We could do that. Interesting. We could also Shivering Contagion, which could give us some actual critical damage, which we're not going to use. So I don't know why we would do that unless... Nope. How do you interact? Interesting. Yeah, let's do that without Breach Surge. And we'll use our mites. Interesting. We do crit. We do crit. Okay, what does that look like without, say... We need to form of this. Because I kind of want to see if Shivering Contagion actually makes sense. But if we can actually get it to crit, which we did with Frost, that's interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Well, let's go level this baby up. I usually use the Boar Prime with Frost, but I'm not, you know, adverse to an upgrade. My first question, though, is do I have a Forma that's done? No, 4 hours. Actually made the Bolto and the Tiburon because I realized I had a Lato and a... and then the Latron sitting around, and I was like, well, are there any things that require that? Because I'm thinking about selling them for slots, which is, you know, not a great idea either. But I found out that the Tiburon and the Bolto require the Lato and the Latron. Just to show you how much I was paying attention all those years ago. Not very well. See, we've begun. Where are you going? You like, hey, can you leave that shit?
I have temporarily disabled that ability.
Oh, thanks. I didn't need it anyways. Well, that goes pretty far. What's the fall-off range? Wow, that's really quite nice. Oh, they died. You know, that reload doesn't really feel like 2.5 seconds, which is interesting. definitely crit with it. If you use biting frost. We're already max rank, so I guess we're gonna leave very quickly. There we go, finally. Yeah, I don't know. The reload doesn't feel like 2.5 seconds. Oh, they're all dead.
Conduit is open. Our experiment moves to a new zone.
Is it really? 1 second, 2 second. I guess, yeah.
Hurry, Hunter. The conduit is closing fast.
What are you doing here? This isn't a freaking Grenier map. Get out of here.
Hunter, the sanctuary will go on without you.
I still have that affinity booster? I do. An affinity booster with affinity boost weekend. Wow. Ain't that the nicest? That's the sweetness. Alright, do I have a forma is the question. Damn it! Alright, how much it would be to rush you? Not that one. 7. That's less than an actual forma, so. Okay. Actually, which one are we putting on? I guess that. Okay. When it's fully ranked up, it'll be enough that I can actually put on whatever I want, I believe. Oh, wait, we have chilling reloads. It's actually 1.8 second now. Okay, yeah, right. I have the short-term memory of a goldfish. I wonder what we're going to do, actually. Because there's a pretty good argument for chilling reload, just for the reload speed. And then cold isn't really that useful outside of frost. So there's a probably even better argument for putting on blaze. But we don't need another damage modifier, so we actually probably should. We probably should put on the fire double stat. Where is it? Scattering Inferno for this extra status chance instead. I mean, if we just do this, we're just going to go further into Blast. Is that big of a deal? Because the Blast being a higher status priority is actually probably good for us. Because right now it's Corrosive that's ruling the roost. Because of this. That would flip it, which is better for us. And then what? Do we want to make it go even further? We're down to 90.2%. That gives us back our status, makes it even more blast-centric, so we're actually blast magnetic electricity as far as the likelihood. Then what would our last be? Get more multi-shot maybe with a small chance to enhance my crit. Shotgun Elementalist for the extra mag and the extra status damage. probably would be a good idea. I mean, those are both fairly strong. We could also kind of go further into crit. I mean, the fire rate's a little low. What even is it right now? 1.63. Yeah, it's a little low. Okay. Because we'll rank it up one more time. All right, we're going to go to 32 as well, so that's actually even better. I don't think we're going to need another formula. I mean, we should eventually get these to 40 for the mastery, but like I said, I don't really care about mastery all that much.
Kill everything you encounter. Do not relent. The integrity of this experiment
Loaded a little too
relies
fast.
on your
Ah!
efficiency.
Had time to take a sip of water. Give me that, please. Thank you. I can see this gun being really fun for Star Chart because you could probably kill with the actual mites. You know, just run around and be like blah blah, and it just kills people. Like these heat-seeking madness creatures. Non-X might die in 1 to 2 hits. That's pretty crazy.
Your reliance on that ability is skewing my data. I have disabled it for now.
Shut up, Cephalon Samaris. Nobody likes you anyways. Hunter, you're using that too much. Hunter, man, you don't enjoy the benefits of synthesis. Yeah. Most annoying Cephalon around. And I have Ortis on my ship. I'm more likely to enjoy that criticism. Oh, I did shoot through him. That's interesting. How are we doing? 32! And sure is easy to rank things up when you have quadruple affinity. Isn't that crazy? I don't like its, so far, issue with Exibus units, though. We'll have to see how that scales.
Hunter, you are running out of time.
Yeah, so what?
Enter the data conduit.
Nah, I think I won't. Disable this, huh? Disable this. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
That ability. Hunter, the sanctuary will go on without you.
All right. Go to Bass Assist. Take 2. Alright. Shotgun Elementalist. Nice big increase to the magazine. Our blast should go very hard. And it helps with electricity as well. I think that's a better... When I was a young warthog. We'll have to test those two. I think they're probably going to be very similar. To the Batmobile. Actually, be more likely like the Batcave in Batmobile. To be honest. All right. interactions. How do we do versus normal corrupted heavy gunners? Just with infesting them, blah, and shooting them. Apparently stabbing them. You know, I think this is actually gonna be like more of a hindrance than a help. All right. That was just normal. Let's see it with Fighting Frost. Ooh. That's very different. Very good. Okay. Say no more, say no more. And with Breach Surge. And then... But you hate the guy in the back ruining your wonderful little explosion by surviving. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now, let's add a Diriga, which should be helping our Gunco by making sure everyone is statused up. Seemed to work out better without Breach Surge, actually. Which is strange, but interesting. I like it. Yeah, Breach Surge actually was a little inconsistent. Of course, it'll be better in a real match because it'll just find things that are still alive. But this thing did already show a bit of an oddity where it was not having a fun time with Eximi. So let's see how that sort of goes. Oh, okay. I mean, if they're all next to each other, not too bad. Okay, where is that one? Is that... Ah, that's the symbol. Okay. Okay. That was more about the strip than anything, because of course they don't get frozen when they're on a full of overguard. They still get stripped of their armor. Okay, that's cool. Let's say we didn't use Frost. Put this guy back to his originally 4 prime usage. What else springs to mind? Gauss Prime, interesting. We consider it similar to the Felarks. This, of course, will add Zata's Whisper into the mix. don't know about that. That seems decidedly worse. I was kind of hoping, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of hoping that the mites were going to trigger Zata's Whisper and then it would automatically go to the head. Now, that might be true of non-Eximi units. In order to get it effective, because of the largeness of the wave, you kind of have to aim up. Now, if this isn't an Eximus unit, what happens? Does Zata's Whisper go to the heads? No, it doesn't trigger on the mites. Okay. Or does it? Wait, what? Does it? Whoa, what is going on with this Whisper bubble? What? Are you on the head or not? Is it? I couldn't tell. It looked like it was in the floor. That's a weird bubble. Right? I'm like crazy, right? That's a weird freaking bubble. That has to be on the head. There's no way we clear those guys unless it's on the head, right? Interesting. So then, fire all your mites out, and it's just Zata Whisper on the head everywhere. Ooh, okay. Okay, the bubble looks strange, but it does appear to be acting as if it's attached to the head, which is cool. Especially because these are auto aim, so it's like it doesn't even fucking matter. Just whip a punch out, and then Bob's your uncle. Who needs to aim? It's definitely worse than Frost though, but it's actually quite interesting. Better than the Fellarks, I think. Right? Definitely a fall off, actually. Doesn't seem that crazy unless you're going up against Steel Path Corrupted Heavy Gunner. What is the fall off? Does it say? Okay, 60 meters. It starts at 35, but it becomes to its shittiest at 60. That makes sense. Okay. Gauss Prime is definitely a possibility. Might even be better than the Fellarks on the whole. Lavos would be interesting too. Saren, maybe. I think it would mess with our blast though. The Sciatid in general actually might be something to look at. Like if we... Sad thing is though is Sciatid also triggers Zatas, so we get like knee level shit, so that didn't work out. It's good for specifically what that was going to be doing. It would probably be better actually for Frost. Vault. Again, we're going to go away from the blast weighting if we start adding on elementals. You could try like Rhino. Data's Whisper, I think, is a really good, strong idea for it, though. All right, so this, I could add Nourish to it as well, because I do have Nourish on my Rhino, so we'll see how that goes as well. But first off, let's see. Roar. Oh, was incidental or accidental? All right, definitely not as good as either the Calervo. Wait, why did I say Calervo? Either the Frost Prime or the Gauss version. Let's add Nourish and see what happens. Yeah, that seemed to be fairly good. So Roar Nourish is actually pretty good because the thing about my Nourish in this setup, I believe, it's 73% damage increase, so it's not going to overpower the weighting of the blast. So blast should still happen more, but more importantly, we're actually going to see some viral come out, which we normally would need a companion for. To actually viral prime. We probably would, right? We would probably have, for a build like this, we would probably have a Dirga with a Tazikor that was designed for CCing the shit out of everybody while also viral priming them. So we should probably bring a Dirga into this mix, probably with a Tazikor. We could also use a Hound as well, which is another thing we could test, see if that's a better companion for this strategy. I think the Dirga is probably going to be better, but we can test. Alright. Throw out some of our little dudes. Okay, yeah, that was definitely much stronger. Okay, see how they're all max viral prime to the front? Always the guy in the back left corner is the one that's left, eh? Alright, so that's pretty good. Let's just, for the sake of argument, put in a pay run. I believe the Batoten. That's the slash one, right? No, okay, so the Akaten. Yes, I know. Good boy. Alright. Fetch. That's definitely harder to do. Yeah, I just wanted to throw in Rhino Stomp there to see if it was actually going to be easier, but no. Alright. Get in there, buddy. What are you doing up there? Come on. Okay, actually. Alright. That actually seems better than the Dirga. He does have a couple extra tricks up his sleeve, that's for sure. Depends on whether or not he can get it on everybody, though. The thing is, though, is they don't have guns anymore. That's another cool thing about it. Will you get down here, boy? Come on. Let's go, doggy. There we go. Now he's doing his thing. Not as many viral stacks, though, but he does put a lot more out. Does not like this simulacrum, though. Holy shit. I didn't even have Roar on then. Holy shit. Alright, it's pretty strong with Rhino. We want to do the Rhino version, the OG Prime. Lavos is probably good. I don't know what I would use though, because right now I don't have my fire on this because of... So what, gas? That's viral. I don't know what... Oh, gas. Yeah, I need fire for that too. Maybe magnetic? What happens if we put this versus the heavy gunner XMI? I think just adding more blast would actually be better. With my current setup with Lavos, I don't have that. Do I have a config that doesn't have... Okay, I do have a config that doesn't have that. Okay. Let's copy this over. The config C. And... Oh, actually I have to go there. And we'll just put blast on. Here, we'll leave the corrupted gunners. See how this works out. All right. Yeah, that was pretty damn good. All right, Lavos with blast is actually pretty sick. Let's get the guy down here and get my dog off the ledge. How can my dog down off the ledge right now? Oh. And my dog's just killing me right now. Alright, I'm involved, I guess. Come on, boy. Come on, you can do it. Jump off. Alright. Yeah, that's very strong. And I don't even know if I had it on there. 2 plus 4. Versus normal heavy gunners? Okay, that should get him down. Oh, I have to reload. Look. Oh. Versus people that are not XMI. That's pretty good. That's really nice. Okay. It's an idea. How else Prime works? I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't. He's very good at what he does. Yeah, Wisp. I don't think fire rate's our issue. Zaku, you just beat Gauss and you would get a better version. I still need to get these 4 to rank 30. I'm so lazy. Let's see. Is there anybody that would be different than Lavos, Frost Prime, and Gauss Prime in a way that would matter? So I don't think Saren. I mean, Saren's good, but I don't think Saren's going to be really all that big of a difference here. But we'll test it, I suppose. This is going to be Venom Dose and Roar. I hope that doesn't mess with our status weighting too hard. Get my dog off the ledge. Well, it did seem to mess with it too much. It's still pretty good, actually. It's hard to tell whether or not that was the Roar doing the heavy lifting or the spores actually helping there. It does seem quite effective, though. Alright, Saren actually is a little bit better than I was giving it credit for. But that's probably because that's more to do with the fact that Corrosive really hates Grenier, right? So we're getting 155% more damage, but it's adding a lot more than just 155% damage. It's definitely effective. And then the blast is just, yeah, it's just triggering faster. So we're getting into the blast chain quicker. So I can see. Not to mention the Roar is going to do really well on that as well. So that might not be as effective into like a Corpus versus than like a Grenier, or specifically with the Saren Prime setup. Still pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, Arrow Prime. Wait, what's the noise sound of this? Is there a noise sound? Doesn't say. I assume though it's pretty freaking loud, right? So I don't think, unless we put Hush on, I don't think Harrow would help us out. And also, I'm not too sure if crit is really the way to go anyways. Like I said, it's not the greatest crit. If you could cheese it with something like Biting Frost or something like that, that would make sense, but elsewise, yeah. Volt, I guess, could be okay with like a Shock Trooper setup. I don't think it would be better than Zapdos Whisper Gauss, though, so I don't think I'm going to explore that too hard. Who else? Nah. I guess Nova would be good with it too, actually. Oh, Araxia. That would be interesting. How does Araxia work out with this? Yeah. Because this is gonna force proc, right? But it's also gonna have damage vulnerability attached to it. Oh, and I can spread it a lot easier. Ooh. Ooh, interesting. I can get to the heads of creatures a lot easier. Right? Whoops. My bad. Wrong button. Oh, that's a little too far up. Alright. So I can just be like, blah, 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 and then get pretty much everybody. The damage vulnerability really helps on the blast procs too. That's really cool. Oh, let me reload. That's pretty fun. It's kind of similar though to the Bubonica, just like less speed. Better ammo economy, though, I suppose. It won't let me mercy kill from here. Oh, that's weird. Okay. You can't do it with Araxia. Oh, that's awkward. Oh, I wonder if her one triggers it though. Oh. Okay, you just died. Okay, go for it. You take a look. Okay. Holy shit. Her one triggers it? It triggers it. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. The plot thickens. Very interesting. In a game, I feel like that would be a lot easier to sustain and actually keep up than in the simulacrum where you have to actually go and ask for more enemies, please, Mr. Enemy Maker Man. Oh, that's interesting. It didn't trigger that time. Why didn't it trigger that time? Did the dog accidentally kill it before I got there? Triggered it that time. Okay. Triggered it that time. Triggered it that time. The dog must have killed. That time it didn't trigger. That time it didn't trigger either. Oh, because it wasn't in mercy range. I just killed. Okay, yeah. That time it didn't trigger either, though. Ooh, it's a very specific... Oh, it's a very specific situation where it's in the mercy kill range. But it has to be an actual mercy kill range. It can't be the range of Araxia. So sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. You have to know the difference, I suppose. I've never actually noticed, though, whether or not I can actually see that. Can I see both symbols? Oh, I think I can. Oh, well, I just killed everybody, so that's not really helpful. Yeah, that one. That would trigger it. Ah, you see? But sometimes you would and sometimes you would not. See, that's not a mercy kill. But it's in Araxia's range. That is a mercy kill in Araxia's range. Ooh, weird. Very circumstantial. Come on, show me the mercy symbol. There it is. Triggered. Yep. That one's already inside. Yep. Okay, so that's interesting. So when you see the Araxi symbol, that means you can kill with your one. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to count as a mercy kill, even though it is ostensibly, I believe. Yeah, it's an instant kill. My apologies. It doesn't say mercy here. It just says instant kill threshold. Okay, so that's interesting. So if you instant kill with her one and it teleports, it does count as a mercy. So it will trigger. It will trigger if it's already in the mercy threshold, but not if it isn't. Interesting. I think I like that because at least this is some sort of synergy between the two. And the fact that it's a 20-second timer on the buff means I'm kind of okay with that. It's just going to be really hard to identify the mercy kill when you're going to be attached to a wall half the time. You know, you're going to have to watch their health bars a little bit more than I would probably like to. It's interesting though. Very good, very strong. Very easy to spread the mites too. Can't see because of the numbers though. What the? I honestly think though that the Bonicos is better though. And the Sobek, Kuva Sobek's probably just better for Araxia as well. I don't think it's the primary choice for Araxia. I just don't think so. It's an interesting alternative that has some interesting synergies, but I don't think Araxia will perform the best with the Coda Baz assist. So there's that. Who else? Is there anybody else that pops to mind? I mean, there's a couple others, but none that would be as good as what we've already demonstrated. Question is Frost Prime better with this than he is with the boar? Alright, so that's that. I don't know. It needs more bullets. And I'm going to be reloading more often. What does it look like when it's in my color scheme? Oh, not too bad, I guess. No, this is just better, ain't it? It's just better. Dude, I used the Boar Prime so much. I think I just replaced the Boar Prime. Oh, I just replaced the Boar Prime. Does its fire look like? Oh, it's a white sludge. Oh, that's great. Perfect. That's not. Okay. Well. We're not going to talk about that. But yeah, this is, I think, pretty sure this is just straight up better. So if I were to put it in my DPS setup. I use the Dirga for. Bro. Alright. Yeah, that's really good. Not as good as ironically, my tank setup. Which uses the ridiculousness of the Tenet Envoy. Yeah, one shot, 12 kills. But for the actual like run around DPS strategy, which involves, a lot less setup, it's good. The Bass Assist is actually straight up improvement over the War Prime. And I think it might be a straight up improvement over the Fellarks on the Gauss Prime build as well. Right, why am I putting Gauss in here? What am I doing? Yo, that's interesting. What does the energy look like with that? Still white. Yeah, of course it is. Nom nom nom. All right, that's pretty cool. I dig it. Just gonna do this because I'm probably gonna use this more. Okay. So Koda Bass Assist is freaking amazing shotgun. Possibly the best shotgun in the game. It's like the Tenon Arca Plasma, but better. Can't think of. I mean, the Strun's really good too with the Incarnate adapter, and the Kuva Sobek with certain synergies is really stupid as well. I don't know. I think it's very arguable. I think you could definitely put the Coda Bass Assist up there. It's very versatile, has very interesting synergies, and I think in a real mission, you're going to find out whether or not the Mercy Kill thing will be annoying sometimes and amazing other times. I don't like the fact that I had to juggle that buff, but at least it's 20 seconds. The Araxia synergy is also kind of interesting, but I don't think it's going to be her best synergy, but it is interesting. It's an alternative way to play. I think it's really good though. I really like it. Very, very good shotgun. Very stupid in a good way. So there's my second Coda weapon. Very good guns so far. Are we gonna grab that cost assist though is the question. Do we want to wait? Why am I in the market? I'm in the market for a Coda weapon. We could wait for a higher percentage of damage. Possible.
Ever do you prove that one worth the possessing never can? So, your idea of a good time?
Yes, I love weird infested things. Yeah, it's obviously my good idea of a good time. 43.1% magnetic. Not bad. I always like magnetic. It's pretty good against overguard. I like the fact that we now have corrosive magnetic. We can probably put in heat to make it even better with a 41% status. That's probably what we do. Or go blast if we wanted to. Nice thing with it being magnetic is it's already its own thing, so you can just worry about modding afterwards. The thing about this is, though, I don't know. Is this really better than anything else? Like the Path Assist. Path Assist is a glaive, right? With viral magnetic. 35% status chance. You could put on blast and just go to town. And the charge throw. Okay. 0% fall off. And a 4.9 meter blast radius. I feel like this is a better situation here. Like the Path Assist is just stronger in its field than the Cost Assist would be. The Harudo. High crit, very high critical damage multiplier. That's higher than most weapons. In fact, that might be the highest in the game. I'm not 100% sure. I think wasn't 3 times the highest in the game for a long time. 3.1 times is really high, unless I'm doing that thing to myself again where I I talked about the Cadus when I had Calervo on last stream. Silly me, his red shards made the critical damage multiplier higher than it would be base. Don't think I would show in this screen though, so should be what it is. It's interesting. These two seem like garbage, especially this one. I was never a fan of the synapse, but I mean, I don't think this super helps the synapse. There was actually a small period of time where the synapse was like pretty much the best gun in the game. Back in the Synoid Similar days as well. There was an argument between those two for a little bit. Thank God we're not in that area anymore. The Synoid Similar was so annoying. And I used it. I won't say I didn't. But, the problem with melee weapons is I really always think about them of the lens of Calervo now. There's other melee frames, but I don't really use them as much now. Calervo's kind of like ruined my ideas of how a melee weapon should be. The exception to that is Lavos, who I use with the Okina Prime and the dual Icar as a melee influence. Yeah, it's basically like, okay, if I'm going to do a melee influence strategy, I'm going to use Lavos. If I'm going to use a crit strategy, I'm going to use Calervo. So it's like the two things of this game, right? Critical chance, status. If you build a weapon, it's going to be probably either critical chance or status that you're focusing on. If you're lucky, you can do both. But very few guns are actually really, really good at doing both. Because, then they would be broken. But there are plenty of incarnates that actually can do both, so that's not out of the question. Well, so basically, though, it's like Calervo, Lavos. Calervo, Lavos. That's basically how I think these days. Because they can just push them so much further. So this is definitely a Calervo of the two. And I think I would want a higher percentage here because this is going to be pushing damage. And it's not going to be like a blast or anything like that. So just having more damage would actually be better for me than an advantageous status. So with this one, I would wait for something closer to the 60%. This is the opposite, actually. I think I would be more Lavos based with the Coda Cost Assist. But I'm just not seeing, just from the stats right now. And I know what the Cost Assist does because I had the normal one, right? So this just tells me it does what the Cost Assist does, but a little bit better, right? Acid pools with longer duration. So where the Cost Assist does a heavy attack, it whips out this like acid pool projectile thing. It's not particularly useful. It's a gimmick that's not really very impactful on your overall gameplay. The thing about the Cost Assist, though, is it's got such a high status chance that it's very good as just like a stat stick kind of a thing. Sort of like a primer. Like, it's a melee influence kind of strategy you could do. A status stick, sorry, not stat stick. But yeah, I don't think I would get more out of this than I would out of the Okina or the Dual Iker. Might be something I buy on like the second round, because right now we've only got 10, right? So I could buy one more thing. If we go back to killing boy bands and all that wonderful goodness, then we could come back and start thinking about the second round. But for the first round, I'm leaning more towards something like the Path Assist or the Coda Mire, which I'm also interested in for slam reasons. I love that shit, so slam reasons is probably going to be number one. I think I will wait for either a better Path Assist roll or a Coda Meyer that has a good roll as well. I think that's what I'm going to do. The rest of them are okay. Although the path assist will make my Serrata Riven kind of surplus to requirements.
See you tonight.
Which, oh, that's a cool backpack. That's the one you can get for Resurgence, from Prime Resurgence right now, right? Oh, he's gone. I actually have thought about that, but I don't have any Regal Aya. It's a cool backpack, though. I really like it. Good aesthetics. There's definitely Warframes I would use that on. But yeah, I have this Serrata Riven that I've been sitting on for a minute. Where is it? Are you? I'm gonna search. With extra heat, extra cold, initial combo, and the minus chance to gain combo count. So you get blast, you get initial combo. So for, glaive explosions, this is like perfect. It's really fucking good. But I don't know if the Serrata's been replaced by the Path Assist. The Coda Path Assist. Is there a normal Path Assist? Doesn't sound familiar, actually. What do you do? Oh, it does exist. Huh. I've never seen this one before. Where do you get this? Is it in the clan dojo? Let's see here. It is not. I see. Alright. Well, obviously the Coda Path Assist is just a better version, so... Sorry, Path Assist, I skipped over you entirely whenever you were added. Blast Toxin, eh? That's really what I wanted to do. Why does this feel wrong? I'm gonna get a decent amount of initial combo. So I feel like instead of galvanized steel, yeah, I see what I'm doing here. Heavy attack wind-up speed. What is the wind-up? Ooh. Wait, is it always that way? There's no wind-up, so I don't need that shit. Okay. Um... I think Clairvo has its fingerprints on this. Because I don't see any crit other than steel, which I'm probably using for the damage. I'll probably get more out of Organ Shatter, no? 27 times 4? No, I wouldn't. And we don't have attack wind-up speed, obviously, because it appears to be 0. how does this perform? It's been a minute. All right, let's take a look. I would probably put this into initially a Calero build at least, just to see. Probably would rather use the the chlorophyll build though. So let's actually put this back. Because it's the gunblades and the glaive should be more similar in their strengths. All right, let's take a quick look here. Because we might need to get a good idea of the strength of the Serrata to see whether or not the path of this is going to be a good idea. Because I imagine it's probably going to replace the Serrata completely if it is in fact worse or better, you know. So that's the $1 million question of the glaives. It looks pretty cool too. Alright, it's been a minute since I used the glaive. How does this shit work again? Right. Okay. Alright, we're up to 8 times multiplier, which is kind of nice. It's not bad. I mean, versus heavily armored opponents, pretty damn good. Yeah. Just gotta remember to frickin' damn it. I don't even know what happened there. It's hard to see what's happening because my fucking cape's in the way. Because you want to explode it, right? You don't want it to just hit. Right, like that. See, that just hits. But if I go like that and then explode it, a lot more damage, as you can tell. So actually, we probably want to get rid of that. That's old school, I think. We want volatile rebound. Oh shit, that thing's worth a lot, eh? Maybe just quick return. Ah, that's the button. Okay. Like I said, it's been a minute. All right. Pretty fucking strong. Not even sure if we need this quick return at all. Probably just go heavier into damage. So, well, how would we do that? Add a little magnetic to it. Let's see how that operates now. Ooh. Intriguing. Yeah, I don't think we need that shit anymore. That's old school. I wish I could see what I was doing, though. The animation really makes my cape fly right in front of my face. It's a little unfortunate. Very strong, though. I wonder, though. And I wonder why if Lavos wouldn't get more out of this. No, we want the blast version. Yes. R2. Oh, evidently not. Oh, it's going weird. There we go. More? I don't know if I would say... Oh, I guess it did kill everyone in a single shot, whereas before it took 2. Oi. We still have 13 seconds of blast, so... Yeah, I mean, yeah. Alright. Okay. I think we lost our blast there before it actually went in. That it curves towards enemies. That's interesting. Yeah, Lavos definitely seems like a bit stronger. Of course, if you're gonna do that, you could also we could go back to the original version and just create melee influence bullshit. Right? Doesn't really matter what you do. It's obviously better. Yeah, it's kind of brutal. That's like a lot of overkilling down there. Ugh. Just have to like time it right there. Just put that on. Make sure this is on. Of course, I don't actually have melee influence on this thing, do I? No, I don't. See how strong it was? It didn't have melee influence on. Now this should be stupid. Oof. Ew. Oh yeah, they'll all die at the exact same moment. Oh yeah, it's gonna apply to so many people too. I mean, that's probably going to be true of every glaive ever. I don't think they're ever going to... Unless they seriously rework either melee influence or glaives. Melee influence and glaives are, like, made for each other right now. They're so strong together. I mean, this seems strong right now, like, as it is. But it's even stronger when... Oops. It's even stronger when you actually use it. Like in a mission, because this thing is going to take out like rooms. Because doing this. Rooms. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty brutal. So that's different ways of doing it. What about... What about these? Yeah, okay. There's this. All right, very strong. All right, can we get to do just a little bit here? All right, interesting. All right, yeah, fairly multiplicative, as we know it would be, but you know, if there's people around, I mean, they're probably gonna die to the blast procs in general, but you can hit just the edge of that when you have the group. Alright, so I can try and get just like that group. 28 million. Yeah. Alright, so... 35% status, 20% crit, 2.3 times critical damage. %, crit, 2 times critical damage, 30% status. Starts with toxin, 183 damage. 270 damage starts with viral. So pretty good. $594 on the charge throw. $402. 34, 2.3 to 21. Oops. Ooh. These are all so much better. I don't have a Riven for the path assist though. Like, this is a dumb Riven. Like, it's really good. Initial combo helps. Heat, cold helps. The minus chance to gain combo count doesn't matter because you're just going to be, you know, throwing them out. By itself, though, it does need help. It's not gonna murder the world without synergy. Not murdering the world without synergy. Pretty damn good though. Switch that back over to the Magistar. Did I switch anything else out? Yeah, Calervo Bang. Yeah. Which is pretty damn fucking fun though. With this. That's pretty funny. That's with it, with melee influence on. Funnier with this. look at that. All those white numbers in there. That proc really quite nice. What happens if I don't detonate? Just kind of flips around a bit, huh? Oh, okay, that was interesting. The blast proc. Get a little closer. See if I don't detonate, what happens now. Just goes right through, huh? I think it's actually easier to use at a level plane. Pretty much just as fast as the chlorophyll too. If it wasn't for my cape and not seeing what I'm doing, it would probably be just as good. I mean, that's a pretty hard act to follow, but I feel like the path assist is gonna get close to it. The only thing is that the Riven is really doing work. Is there any X factor here that I'm missing on whether or not the Serata and the Path Assist or Coda Path Assist are going to be similar in power? Some weird stat that I'm overlooking. I mean, this is going to be a toxin explosion, which is kind of weird. Where's the... It's a viral explosion. Okay, so what does that mean? I mean, I think the Serata is still going to be absolutely like number one versus Corpus, right? There's just no way around it. Toxin is just going to be so much stronger versus Corpus. So the Serata is probably still going to have a niche. So that's okay. Although I wonder how much I could get platinum-wise for that thing. Is it as good of a niche to actually keep the ribbon? I don't know. I know. I mean, I'm pretty sure I rolled that myself. Oh, that ribbon. Memory serves. Might have done it on stream. I know I rolled a few ribbons on stream a little while ago. Like, oh, geez, months ago, actually. But anyways, I don't remember which ones I was doing. What to do? I'll have to think about that, the difference between those two and whether or not the Coda Path is actually going to be an upgrade in that regard. Because the thing about viral damage is nowadays, in modern Warframe, viral as a damage type is not actually as valuable as a status type, right? The status effect is infinitely more useful than the actual damage. Which is why, a lot of the time, we are sort of... What's the word? Gravitating towards the delegation of the application of viral status to our companions, to outside... resources like arcane truculence, basically anything that adds viral that isn't us is a boon, because we don't really want viral damage. We really don't, but we want enemies around us as much as possible to be viral primed because of the effect that viral increases damage to health up to 325% with multiple stacks for a short duration. That's the value of viral. So the fact that it does a viral explosion isn't really all that good, because the explosion, when we build correctly, and we probably use it, in such a way, at least in a crit based build, will be useless because we should be one shotting. In a melee influence build, probably also not that great because they're probably already viral primed by our companions. So the viral stacks are probably already being transferred by melee influence when we smack them. Well, hold on a second. Let me think about that a little bit harder. Oh, what's the wording again? Melee status effects apply to enemies within 20 meters. Maybe melee influence actually would be better with a viral explosion. But they're probably already viral primed, though. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one. We don't want viral damage, really, at the end of the day. We want viral status. And if we're smacking a person with a melee weapon, they're probably in melee range. So they've probably already been primed by our companion. But a glaive is a melee weapon we're very possibly not striking at people with in melee range. So this might be actually the one instance where we actually do want the viral explosion. Like, I don't give a, if I'm using a melee weapon, I really do not want viral on my weapons, because I have Dirigas, I have Kazakors, I have the Hounds, I have Predicites, I have, well, I don't actually have one, but lots of people have Bulbaphilus. Panzer Bulbaphilus, to be specific. There's dozens and dozens now of ways of getting somebody on the enemy viral prime to max viral stacks without you actually touching them, or more performatively, before you touch them. If not full, you at least get 5 or 6, right? So, that being said, generally speaking, it might be a bad thing, but I think in this one niche case of a glaive, when you're throwing it, you are very likely going to be outside of a companion that is a sentinel's range. However, probably will not be out of the effective range of the Hound, or perhaps other Kubro or whatnot companions. So I think it depends largely on what you're actually using on your build. Like, I'm pretty sure a Peyron, this guy, my Dorma Hound, he is going to run around very quickly and prime the absolute living crap out of everything with everybody. That's kind of his thing. He does a lot of magnetic, he does a lot of electric, and he does a decent amount of viral radiation, magnetic heat, puncture, slash, but mainly viral because it's highest weighted. So I have a 16% chance of my 35% to do viral. And of course then he has his other stuff. Yeah, I got the cold thing. That's gonna do the electricity damage, but I believe it can carry the other statuses on it. Yeah, and then of course he's gonna get momentous bond, so he's gonna get random elemental damage as well. He does a really good job of priming, so that's pretty good. I tend to only use him though with frost because his cold and electric keeps people frozen and still, and it does add a little bit of viral, but not like a crazy amount. So I tend to only use this guy specifically with frost, but Apophis, he adds lots of things too. As you can see, 123.5 status chance, which is actually very dependent on your melee weapon because of one of my mods, but you know, he's going to be throwing out a lot of viral stacks as well. The Diriga is really good for that though, especially with the Tazakor. This thing hits like everybody in like a certain range, and you know, viral. But yeah, as I was sort of like alluding to, these companions, they do have a certain range, and some of them are going to be a shorter range than the Codopathicist throw. So I'm actually very much on the fence now, which is not where I wanted to be. Not where I wanted to be. I think it does largely, if you're going to use a crit build, then I think it's very obvious that the Serrata is better. If you're going to use like Calervo, it's better. Because I'd rather have the blast, I'd rather have the initial combo. But if I'm using a melee influence build, I'm not 100% sure yet which way I would want to go. Because the viral explosion will be useful for the melee influence spread to make things easier. So I'm going to put that on the maybe. That's what the cost is. I'm going to put that in the maybe column. So I guess my next move is to get the Mire, because that's the one I actually think I really want to try. Next time the Mire rolls around, we're going to get that. But, ooh, I don't know. There's a lot of theory to go through here that I can't really quite get to grasp with until I have it in my hands. And then, you know, that would be too late. Put it lightly. If you've already bought it, figure it out, then, you know, you've already bought it. So if you figure out you don't like it, then you can't unbuy it. That's the sad truth of it all. What's this? A Riven? I don't need more of those. Ooh, terrible Montave. Amber. Wow, what a weak week for 1999. Terrible. I can see why they wanted to keep that from us. That being said, I do kind of want to do at least one mission, though, with this Frost, though. Let's put this Bass Assist into action. Because a lot of the time I spent with my Warframe and Frost was actually in 1999 missions. So I kind of want to see them both in the same place. What do we want to do? What do I want to do? Culture Survival? Sure, let's see how this goes. I'm on the DPS one, right? So it's going to be a little less overguard, which is fine. Okay. Meow. So far, so good.
Code injected. Hell Scrubber's emerging. Ooh, Scaldra just noticed what we're up to, and they are pissed.
55 million. Okay. 9 million over here. All right. I see you.
Dude, you gotta have each other back. Nobody else will.
Look at that. Look at that, loser. Let's say pick up. Oh. Oh my god. How many people get freaking.
They ain't nothing.
This is gonna be a reality just like going forward, eh? This is gonna be like random boy bands showing up for everybody.
Hell Scrubber activated. Contamination dropping.
Interesting.
Okay,
More?
which one of us is the best dancer? Be for real.
You guys both suck at dancing. How about that?
Hell Scrubber coming up near you.
20 million on that last proc. I see. Oh, 356 million. Nice. Everybody loves that. I love to see it. You'll love to see it. Oh, how did I get up to 80%? That must have been that 350 million. Skewed the numbers. Uh-oh. What are you doing up there, bud? It's definitely much smoother. There's less reloading going on anyways. I think that's quite a quality. Mania, mania on the floor. Just getting rid of armor in general. It's not as strong as it used to be, but it's still very strong.
While Scaldra is distracted, I'm taking the opportunity to make some new acquisitions. Like this. Don't worry, I'll share. Distraction is ready. I can't ask you to fight any longer. But if you wanted to fight longer, I wouldn't say no.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh. Ooh, I see you.
Scrubber, overwhelmed. Spores coalescing into mutant form. Do something!
You alive? Oh, you are. He's just like on the ground. Wee.
Do something about that Scrubber before it does something about you.
Oh, that's interesting. You're not going down very hard, Mr. Scuzzy. It does seem to have some sort of issue with XMI sometimes.
Totally warned you. And now it wants to have a conversation.
I find that very interesting. Anyways, I gotta get to extraction. Sorry guys, sorry, coming.
It is done, Tenno.
The poor Prime could just chew through anything that was a problem very quickly because you're just like blah, 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 blah. Well, it does have problems with XMI. Which I think it's because, if I had to guess, it's because a lot of the damage of this gun is status based. And if you have overguard, you're immune to statuses. So if you basically are just trying to brute force with status, then you're going to have a bad time versus XMI. Whereas the Boar Prime is basically brute forcing with just raw damage. The statuses are just nice. So XMI are going to be less of an issue. Now, since 1999 is pretty much Xmas City, it does create a small issue, doesn't it? I wonder if Gauss Prime isn't actually just a better home for this then. We shall do it again with the other thing and see if it's okay. Also, just want to... Oh, we can't do that anymore, but... Pretty sure we're on the right loadout anyways. I mean, the difference in two loadout systems is so massive that it would really be a big difference, though. So, it should be fine. Oh my god. Oh, bow. That's no good.
Got a minute to get a health scrubber working.
What's going on here? What kind of thing did I join?
They won't be giving us any more trouble.
Nope. I missed.
Having another health scrubber for regurgitation. Disgusting. 4 count is approaching terminally unfun levels. Activate another health scrubber.
Shall we move? Okay, shall we get stuck on a porch? How's that? I was gonna say, shall we move on to B, but it's downstairs, I see. Hello, everyone. I do love the Boar Prime. That was without anything. Oh. Roll. There you go. Like I do reload a lot, but it's just me, or like I'm definitely sitting down XMSs at a much quicker rate, or XMI. Nobody clear these things off anymore.
While Scaldra is distracted, I'm taking the opportunity to make some new acquisitions. Like this. Don't worry, I'll share. Extraction is ready.
No enemies.
I can't ask you to fight any longer.
Everyone left. Oh, extraction. Okay.
If you wanted to fight longer, I wouldn't say no.
Wait. Direction's this way. I'm closer to it. Seeing me, I assumed my friends knew where they were going.
Contamination is off the charts. You need to
God,
hustle.
I love how consistent that one area is. They never change that tile. They never twist it. They never do anything to it. I appreciate that.
Spore count is approaching terminally unfun levels. Activate another health scrubber.
Wow. What is this guy doing? Oh, Rhino. With the Kuva Brahma. Yeah, not that good of a
You've got a minute
test,
to get a
I
health
guess.
scrubber working.
might have to do it by ourselves. These guys aren't doing the objective. I don't know what they're doing.
Scrubber going critical. Fix it or lose it to the tech rot, which will be the least of your problems.
What you have learned here
Well, good luck to those
will
guys.
serve you well.
I warned you.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like versus Eximus, the Boar Prime is infinitely better, but versus everything else, the Bassus is infinitely better. I think I'll stick with the Boar Prime with Frost, and I'm just gonna do the Gauss Prime thing with the Bassus, because I think that's where it's gonna be really nice with the fact that you can do Zata's Whisper and have the bubbles count as headshots just by using the alt fire. Just it automatically goes towards heads, which is really cool. I like it. It's much cooler. Which honestly is okay with me. I'll be honest, I have an aversion to using the same gun on multiple loadouts, but sometimes I do if they're just that good. It bothers me that the Magistar is just so good. Because I use it so often. That's a test fit, that doesn't count. Oh, yes. You cannot be where you are. This is the Chlorophells area. Just want to make sure we're on the Chlorophells thing. Want to make sure we're on the right config. We're not. Man, how did we get from that config? You don't know what we should do. We should just swap them. That way. It'll always be that way. Because it's the problem there is it's the resetting of it. When you like unequip or re-equip something, it'll always default to config A. And since we really only use this as a dexterity thing, we really should have just been had it like that the whole time. That's what we should have been doing. The thing about the core fell that's kind of made me sad though is it's so much fun to me that it's ruining the rest of this game. That's the sad part. Is I enjoyed this build so much. I have a hard time prying myself from it. It's just so much fun. Really good. Highly recommend. Oh yeah, we have new things too. Let me set this up. We have the Cobra and Crane, which I don't think is going to be insane. There's a Prime version, right? Ah, man, I really would like to have a sword and shield or whatever. I mean, I don't know if that's a sword. It looks like more like a hook blade, but I really like one of these to be like really insane. Every time I try one, it's like, it's just kind of gimmicky. I mean, like the whole thing is just very gimmicky. Maybe one day they'll add a sword and shield that's like stupidly good. Or maybe I'll finally see the light and figure out how to build one properly. I don't know, maybe it's me. Do we have any other weapons we need to rank up? Not really. I mean, a few that are like meh. Oh, I do have these, I guess. Where are they? I have quadruple affinity, so you know, probably should. Ooh. 3 mods, that's all you give me. Terrible. Actually, I guess that would be better at this point. Alright, last thing we do today. We are going to get these to max rank. Because the game gave me quad affinity, gave me a 28-hour affinity booster when I logged in yesterday. So it just seems like the right thing to do. Just seems like the right thing to do. This is the last weekend in August? Yeah, so this is going away. This double affinity thing. I wonder how often they're going to do that, or is it just a dog days thing? Let me in. Let me in. Let me in. Yo, that cat's got hops. Alright, here we go. Sword and blade. What's the slam attack like? It's not bad, I guess. Yeah, I took that. What do we got in here? There's no downstairs enemy. Oh, well. That was interesting animation. Hey, I got a shield. You can't get me. You can't get me. I got a shield. It's actually a pretty cool animation. I like that. Big swing, big swing. Normal slam is really weedy. I like the sword and the ground animation though. We're halfway there. Right down there. Oh, you use a shield thing sometimes? Ooh, okay. Ooh. Spun me. Oh, you could throw the shield? What? Ooh. How much damage does that do? Oh, never mind. I'll never know. My dog's killing everyone.
I have opened a new data conduit.
Oh, we're not done here.
Immediately.
I want to see how much damage this throwing shield thing does. Get over here. Ooh. Not a lot. Also slow as fuck. Good night. Post migration. That. Yeah, what do you want that? Not bad though for like pure mobility purposes. That block combo. I don't mind it. Whoa, can kill you though. Oh my god. It's almost like, you know, you can really trigger that whenever you want. That's pretty cool. It's the first one of the forward block combo? Or just the block combo? Yeah, it's the forward block combo, okay. That's pretty cool, actually. And you can chain it into a slide attack, which is interesting. What the hell is that? There it is again. When you're in the air, I think it's like a throw. What is that? Right. All right, we just there we go. We did it. We maxed. Easiest 9K mastery of my life.
Hurry, Hunter. The conduit is closing fast.
I really do like this though. Yeah. Forward block combo dash.
Hunter, the sanctuary will go on without you.
Maybe I should revisit Sword and Board. When was the last Sword and Board even come out? I have no idea. What? You don't do by category? That's dumb. It should. Here. What do I have in that vein? Ack and Brunt. But I'm gonna move on. Cobra and Crane, still not the greatest attack speed either. Is there one that's not like slow as molasses? Okay, that's kind of fat. Why is the Prime so much slower? Good lord, man, why? Why? Everything else is so much better. Oh, wow, that's a heck of a lot more damage. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Any more? I don't see any other sword and boards. Oh, the Sigma and Octantis. Well, that's the best speed of the bunch. Okay, damage-wise. I'm not going to mention the critical damage multiplier because I know who I'm wearing right now. Radial attack with blast. Radial attack with blast. 100% fall off. 4 meters. Okay, interesting. I've never used this before. It has a unique trait. Aerial attack, throw shield, make enemies vulnerable to finishers. Okay. There's a radial attack with blast, though? How does this happen? On the heavy attack? Intriguing. Very intriguing. Alright. I am going to probably look further into this, and maybe if there's other ones that I don't have at some point, I'll give them a fair shake. I'm not saying they're going to turn anything, but I have, as I have mentioned, kind of not looked very closely at sword and boards because in the past they were very gimmicky. But I don't remember ever actually using Sigma and Octantis, so I'm going to take a look, and maybe there's something else that's come up since. So we'll circle back on that whole subject at some point. But for now, it's all the time we have for the stream today. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me and listening to me rant on about the 2 new primed weapons. I'm sure I'll have the Caliban Prime also in a future stream, maybe. Like I said, primes are exactly the same as the normal ones. There's no real build differences. So however you would have built Caliban for the last few years is pretty much you would have built Caliban Prime, except for, of course, the Razor Mortar augment, which came out recently, which is quite nice. Yeah, look into that if you haven't seen that. But yeah, that's all we have. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care. So long. And I will see you on the next stream.